A European leader texts the White House, "Let's de-escalate." Hours later, Trump fires back with a line that detonates across headlines. He says he's no longer obligated to think purely of peace, while reviving his push for complete and total control of Greenland. What was the message? Why was Norway involved at all? And what does it signal for NATO and a possible trade war? Here's the key detail most coverage skips. According to Sky News, Norway's Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Støre reached out on behalf of himself and Finland's President Alexander Stubb, mentioning Greenland, Gaza, Ukraine, and tariff threats, and proposing a call to cool things down. This wasn't a random message. It was a coordinated move, an attempt at crisis management. Reuters reports Trump replied by tying his stance to the Nobel Peace Prize. He said that because Norway didn't give it to him, he no longer feels obligated to think purely of peace. Instead, U.S. interests now justify tougher action. The tone? Not diplomatic, strategic. Norway later released the messages. The Greenland angle isn't new. It sits on the Arctic chessboard. Missile defense, radar surveillance, and great power positioning between the US, Russia, and China. But this time, it's not just about military access. It's about complete and total control. Trump's words. That's a red line for Denmark, Greenland's leaders, and even US partners inside NATO. This is where it gets messy. Norway doesn't control Greenland. Norway's government also doesn't award the Nobel Peace Prize. That's handled by an independent committee. Yet Trump's message framed Norway like the responsible party. Why? Because it creates pressure, public pressure, leverage, targeted at allies. Here's where diplomacy meets the real economy. Reuters and The Guardian both note the Greenland demand came with tariff threats, and the EU is preparing to respond. That means this isn't just rhetoric, it's part of a coercive bargaining strategy with alliance-wide consequences. So did Trump send a letter saying he's done with peace? Not exactly. He reportedly said he no longer feels bound to think purely of peace, while reviving his call for total control of Greenland, after Norway's Prime Minister tried to de-escalate. The bigger story? It signals a shift toward leverage-first diplomacy, increased friction inside NATO, and a possible revival of trade war dynamics. Want to know more? Subscribe for Part 2. What control of Greenland would actually require? We'll map the strategic, legal, and economic implications in full.